Hello everyone, Hockey Guy here for OutstandingPoker.com, and got a video today looking at limit play and kind of why the small stakes games tend to develop into a bunch of chasing and multi-way pots that can be quite frustrating. So it takes a few minutes to kind of get through this example, but I think it will be helpful. So a couple things. First off, the limit game, of course. I've used a 50-cent dollar example here to make the math easy for myself during the example. The small bet is 50 cents. The big bet is $1. The small bets are on the flop and pre-flop, and on the turn and the river are the big bets. And bear in mind the small blind is half of the small bet, so the small blind here is a quarter. And so you can follow the math here. So I put together here an example hand that's not uncommon that you might see at the smaller stakes or micro stakes limit games, and I think it kind of points out why these pots develop the way they do and why it can be kind of frustrating, and a couple ideas on how to deal with it. So first of all, we see our friend under the gun with Jack-9 suited, and he of course limps in. This is a mistake in early position, but it happens all the time, so that's how we end up with this type of hand. Same thing with fives. He limps in with only one limper, which is typically going to be a mistake as well. But he does so, and will continue to do so as long as he plays. Then we see our hero on the button with ace-jack, thinking to himself, hey, I am probably ahead of their range. Both those guys, I've seen their stats. They play 40, 50, 60, 70% of the hands. My ace-jack is well ahead of them, so I should go ahead and raise. And in theory that works. In the small games, not so much, because we have our friend here, Mr. King Jack. He wakes up in the small blind and he looks and he's trying to decide whether he wants to play in a raised pot, and so he does a little math and he realizes each caller has put in 50 cents, the raiser's put in $1, so that's $2. The big blind behind him has already put in 50 cents, so that's $2.50, and he's put in a quarter, so the pot is already sitting at $2.75, and it's going to cost him, let's see, it's going to cost him 75 cents to call, which is a bet and a half. Well, 1.5 small bets, and so he's thinking, well, 275, that's almost 4-1, and King 10 suited is pretty decent hand, but he further recognizes that that's, by the way, that's let's see, I got a math there I think somehow. No, is that right? 5 1/4 is not correct. Yes, it is. 5 1/4 times should be 5 1/2. Close enough. 5 1/2 small bets is in fact 275. So he's getting 5 1/2 to 1 on his money. Why does that say 4-1? 4-1. Oh, no. My apologies. The pot is 275, which is 5 1/2 or 5 1/2 small bets, and he's getting 4-1 on his money, almost 4-1, because he's got to put in 75 cents, and 4 times 75 is $3. So confused myself there for a moment. But he recognizes further that these first two yahoos that limped are never going to fold in limit to one bet after they put money in the pot. So he really expects that 5 1/4 small or 5 1/2 small blinds to get two more small bets. 5 1/2 small bets. He expects the first two limpers to also call. So really the pot is going to become 375. So he's going to 375. He's getting 6-1 on his money, and he's thinking King 10 suited is good enough to call with 6-1 on his money, and he's probably in general right about that, although being out of position is it's a marginal call, depending on the other players in the pot, but he makes it. And so we see our friend, it wakes up the big blind with